to order and ask the clerk to call the roll.
Director Kildee. Here. Director McDonald. Here. Director Morgan.
Here.
Secretary Little.
Here.
Chairman Craven.
Here. Mr. Kildee, could you lead us in the flag salute, please?
Place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, this is the time for public comments. I don't have any cards. Is there anybody who'd like to speak to the board of the Camarillo Sanitary District? Seeing no one come forward, we'll move to the consent calendar.
Second.
Motion is second to approve the consent calendar. Please vote. Motion carries unanimously. There are no departmental items. Comments from staff?
No comments from staff.
Comments from board members? Comments from legal counsel? Meeting's adjourned.
Would the Camarillo Successor Agency please come to order? Let the record reflect that all board members are present. We have any changes in the agenda, Mr. David?
No changes, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. No, we're all in order. Amendments to the agenda. Public comments. Do we have any public comments this evening that are on items not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move to the minutes. Have a motion for approval of the minutes?
Move to approve this consent calendar.
Second.
Consent calendar, you're right.
There are two items.
Please vote. That motion passes 5-0. We have no other calendar items at this time. Are there any comments by the board members? Seeing none, we'll adjourn. Now, let's let the regular meeting of the City Council please come to order. Do we have any non-agenda items or other items that you want to address, Mr. Norman?
No changes to the agenda, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Presentations, we have no items there. Consent calendar.
I'd like to ask a question regarding item E. I don't need to pull
Item
it.
E.
Item E on the consent calendar.
Okay. You want to ask that question now?
Well, my question is it usual that we get only one bid for these pieces of equipment going through this national purchasing organs?
This particular purchase we did do through the NJPA because of the specialty of the vehicle itself.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, I didn't. Okay.
We went through the NJPA contract with this because the vehicle is a specialty type of vehicle. It's a stencil truck for painting stripes.
But my question is it usual that we only get one bid as a result of that process?
Nowadays, it's not unusual. I just bid 5 or 6 vehicles, and several of those only got one bid, and the others I got 2 bids. The fleet market is shrinking as far as dealers wanting to bid on fleet vehicles because the markup's pretty low.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other items the council members wish to address on the consent calendar?
Your Honor, I have
Yes, Mr. Kildee.
just a couple. I don't need it pulled, but item K, if this does get approved, will it be sufficient enough to complete the study?
At this time, for what we foresee that is needed, yes. As we've experienced, other questions and situations come up as we move through this process that we would just have to address at that time. But at this point, this is foreseen to be sufficient to get us through to where we need to be at this point.
Good. Kevin, any other questions?
Yeah, I had just one on item G, and it may be a little bit premature, but does anybody have an estimated time when they're going to be opening up? I'm getting
anxious, huh?
calls, and I'm sure the rest of us are too.
The item on the consent calendar would approve the improvement plans, which means that they would have the full approval of the permits in place to complete the project. And we know that the owner of Institution Ale is very eager to get operations underway, at least into the manufacture of the beverages. But in terms of an actual opening date, they're hopeful that that would occur within the next few months, but they are anticipating manufacturing the beer sooner than that, and we're working with them to see if there's a potential relief valve to accommodate that request. So staff's engaged with the ownership of Institution Ale at this time, addressing that.
Thanks, Joe.
The building already is looking better.
We think so. We think it looks terrific.
Yep, it looks really good when you pass by. No other questions of the consent calendar? Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the consent
Second.
calendar.
A motion second. Please vote. That motion passes 5-0.
Your Honor, I have
Yes.
a comment on item J. It's about time. Thank you. Hooray. That's the traffic signal at Arneal and Dunnigan.
We've been
Here, this has
talking
been
about
sitting
that.
there for ages, and
I can hardly
everyone knows
wait.
it, and now it comes out, and certain people want to come out and say this, that, and the other, but the people
Hooray.
normally around there want it. So,
Perhaps we should have a supportive vote for it.
okay, next item on the agenda is City Council, Citizens Appointment Committee recommendation. Which one of you guys got that?
I can,
City clerk usually does.
well, I guess we can start. Charlotte and I
Or for comments?
comprise the committee, and you have before you the list of positions that we have recommended to the council to appoint to the various boards and commissions. And we'll be happy to answer any questions, if there is any.
Knowing you two, I think we probably got them screened pretty good.
I think we try to be very cognizant of what position, what the background and experience were of the applicants, as well as the duties and requirements of the job that they are being considered for.
And I do concur with your choices on the Special and Ranch House Foundation.
Your Honor, I move to confirm the appointments as recommended.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Could I ask one
I'm sorry,
question?
Kevin?
I'm sorry, before we vote, I'm a little bit late. But the investment committee member, the Lance Martin, do we have a bio or anything with him? I'm just
In the
curious
city
as to-
clerk's office, but he has a financial background.
Okay. Yeah.
He is a retired banker.
I believe so.
Retired
Hang on,
banker.
I can tell you really fast.
Okay.
He's been with a number of banking institutions in Ventura County.
He has a BA from Fresno State, from UC, he has an MBA, and I can't, from Golden Gate University. He's a retired banker, and I forget which banks he was at.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Retired banker, he knows something about banking. Okay, we have no items under Finance, Public Works, Community Development,
Well, we
City
have to
Attorney.
have a
vote.
Oh, I'm sorry, we got to vote. Please vote. Motion passes 5-0. Now we'll go through all of our department heads. I see no items. Mr. City Attorney, is there anything you wish to say?
Not at this time.
Okay. Now, Veterans War Memorial Ad Hoc Committee. Charlotte, you're our chairman.
Well, I think the city manager is going to make a report,
Okay.
and then I can make some comments if there's anything that needs to be added.
Thank you very much. This item will be presented by our Assistant Community Development Director, David Moe.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and City Council. The Vietnam War Commemorative Ad Hoc Committee was formed on December 9, 2015, and consists of Mayor Morgan and Councilmember Craven. The committee is tasked with reviewing the requirements to participate in the commemorative partner program by planning and conducting events and activities that will recognize Vietnam veterans and their families' service, valor, and sacrifice. The first meeting of the committee was held on January 11, 2016. At this meeting, the committee discussed the requirements of the commemorative partner program and directed staff prepare the required application and statement of understanding. Two tentative meeting dates, subject to Department of Defense approval, were identified for calendar year 2016. The first proposed event was originally intended to be held during the May 25th, 2016 City Council meeting, but due to an overwhelming response, the event is now being planned for Constitution Park on May 21st, which is Armed Forces Day. At this event, Vietnam veterans from the greater Camarillo area's names will be read aloud. They will receive a City of Camarillo Vietnam War certificates of appreciation and commemorative lapel pins in recognition of their service during the Vietnam War. The second event is still in the preliminary planning phases, but is being proposed to also be held at Constitution Park on Veterans Day, November 11th, 2016. This event would honor our Vietnam veterans with a 20-minute program, air guard band, and refreshments, and the park would be lined with flags. Also at this meeting, the committee discussed the need for assistance from volunteers affiliated with veterans groups and the military who could assist with the committee's activities. The committee reached out to former Naval Base Ventura County commanders Paul Grossgold and Jim McHugh, and Danny Crow, past commander of the Camarillo American Legion Post 741. These individuals have agreed to assist the committee in its activities. In addition, former Camarillo City Council member Don Walsh is also interested in assisting the committee. On February 8th, 2016, the committee conducted their second meeting. At this meeting, the committee further discussed the planned events for 2016 and directed staff to submit the commemorative partner application and statement of understanding to the Department of Defense for approval. Staff is happy to report the Department of Defense has approved our application as a commemorative partner, and we have also received our starter kit of materials for developing and implementing our proposed events. This concludes my staff report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
I have a question.
Comments, Charlotte?
I have a few other things that I just wanted to add a little bit. I want to stress for anybody listening that the date has been changed because we've had a really good response. So far, we have 50 people, and City Scene just came out today. Kathy has not been able to even take the calls today from after City Scene came out. So that was 50 just from contacts that we had beforehand. And it doesn't include the American Legion names that I know we're going to be getting. So I think we will have a really good response. And I just wanted to add that there are 12 people who were from Camarillo as their home of record who died in action or were killed in action. And Joe Ortiz has agreed to try to locate family members that might still be around for those people. And because those people, we have a different type of thank you for the families and commemoration and thank you to honor those people. And I just wanted to make sure everybody understood that the lapel pin we're giving away is not our 50th anniversary lapel pin. It's a special bronze lapel pin for this commemorative event, and it's supplied by the Department of Defense. So I think it'll be really nice.
Sounds good.
Very good. Also, you won't believe this, but 1955 is when the date started in our look. Randy Churchill fits into that,
Yes.
and so he will be part of that too.
Yes, President Eisenhower had advisors in Vietnam
And he
in
was there.
1955. It goes from November 15th of if you were in the service between November 15th of 1955 and May 15th of 1975, then you are considered to have served in the U.S. Armed Forces, which includes the Coast Guard. They had boats over there. Then you are considered to have served during the Vietnam era.
So you don't have to have served in Vietnam.
That's correct. It's regardless of location. I've written up. I'll pass this out. Jeff, she has one.
Charlotte, you're through?
Yeah.
Kevin?
Just, a little, and I know most of the people here know, but all of the names that they've been able to locate anyhow for those that were killed in the Vietnam War actually on a plaque at the Aquatic Center right over by the Boys and Girls Club. And it's kind of interesting. I believe there's some 15 names, and Camarillo was probably about 20,000 people in those days. So that was a pretty heavy toll that the city took in those days as a percentage. So, and I know there's some long-standing families that I know a lot of us know about that lost a family member there. So I think this is a really good thing to do. And also, I was wondering, is it a 3-year program that we're going
Yes.
to be doing? We're going
Two
to be
times a
doing
year.
3 years. Yeah, or for 3 years, yeah. So
We're
there's
going-
still a number of them, and I know a lot of us up here know there's still a lot of those military personnel that still reside in the city.
We're expecting 250 or so. And then when you get their families, it's going to be quite a crowd.
We also are looking and seeing, what was I trying to tell you? If we can get the wall, the traveling wall, Vietnamese wall that they travel on the United States with all the names on them. I lost 7 classmates my year. So there's a lot of people.
It was a heavy toll.
Anyway, we're trying to get that wall somewhere along the line. And also, you're going to have some good bands that we're going to try to get pick up, military bands. So Charlotte's going to run with, who's going to bands? I forgot.
Kathy's working on that.
Yeah, Kathy's working on bands. So we'll come back to you to report as we go along, bands and all that stuff.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Are we doing something for those who are missing in action that have never?
So far as I've been able to find, there are none with Camarillo as a home of record.
If we find one, we'll recognize. They've got,
If we learn of one, we will certainly do something.
They have something different for them, the Department of?
I'll have to check into that. I've been checking in. The Department of Defense website for this particular commemorative partnership program is not really easy to navigate. I get on there and I look and look and look and look and look, and every day I can find more stuff that I hadn't found before, and I've had to bookmark it all with my own little tags because they have their own file system, which is Greek to me.
you saw the certificate out in front. Did you get a chance to read the certificate out there that talks about us? I mean, being
On the
partners.
counter.
Yeah,
If we didn't have anyone of record, there may well be families who now live here that might have had.
They'll have
So they
to
could come
notify us,
forward
yes.
and let you know.
They can, and it's in today's city scene,
yes, it is.
top front, nice placement. And we'll be getting more word out, but we got 50 just from emails I sent out, and and Kathy contacted the Gold Coast Veterans, something.
Yeah, I got two Facebooks from out of town that were from here before that got word and said thank you guys for doing that. So,
But anyway, we're trying to get the word out. But we are limiting this, our efforts, to people who either had Camarillo as their home of record when they entered the service, or in one case, I found one who is listed as Ventura with a home of record, but he graduated from Camarillo High School in 1964, so we put him on the list. So that's one. Or if you live here now, if you live in the Heights, the Estates, the Santa Rosa Valley, or Somas, I've gotten emails from people in other parts of the county, and I'm telling them that I'm sorry, we're not going to be able to include people from other cities, but they could certainly contact their council members about doing the same thing, because I think trying to include everybody in the county would be just too much of an effort.
they can come enjoy our entertainment, but they're not going to get the buttons.
Yeah, but we're going to give certificates to
Yep.
people from Cameron.
Right.
So
only.
you got a list from them, or do you have to go out and find all the people?
Both. I just sent out, I started out with my RDP list, and everybody kept sending me more, and finally I sent out and said, just forward yourselves.
Well, the fact that it's anyone that served in the service between that period of time, that's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people. That's why we're thinking we're going to have a lot of people.
If you've seen the wall, on the wall, they're put in by where they lived, cities.
Right.
And there's 7, they'll show our guys on.
There are only 12 on that.
I know,
And-
7 I knew from my class.
And that was only Vietnam people who died.
So if you have a chance, it's in Sacramento out in the park. If you ever
Yeah.
want to go look, it's there. Okay. Any other comments? We'll move down to city. Let's go through our comments first with city manager and so on.
Wait, we have administrative services.
Well, Oh, yeah, didn't see that one.
Administrative services.
Sorry about that. Administrative Services. Who's got this one?
Richard. Oh, Kathy.
Yes.
Honorable Mayor and council members, staff is proposing amending the classification plan to include a classification titled Public Works Administrator. A recent review of the classifications authorized in the Public Works Department revealed that the duties and responsibilities performed by the Senior Management Analyst position has grown significantly since the position was created in 2008. The new classification better represents the duties currently being performed by the incumbent and provides the department some opportunities and greater flexibility in reorganizing reporting structures, responsibilities, and providing for the development of succession planning. Amendments to the classification plan require City Council action. As such, staff is requesting your consideration in adopting the proposed resolution, amending the classification plan by adding the position of Public Works Administrator.
Okay. Questions, comments?
Mr.
Kildee, Mr.
Mr. Little. Yeah. Would you elaborate on what the duties and responsibilities of this position are
I'm going to
and how they interface with the operations of the department and all the other parts of that department?
Sure. I'm going to defer that to Dave Klotzel.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, as was mentioned in the staff report, the duties and responsibilities have grown over the years, and the administration division provides support to all other 7 divisions in the department, and ranging from the administering and updating the budget through the whole budget process. And overseeing the flow of just the general administration work of council reports. And in general, especially over the past decade, we've seen in the public works arena in general an increase in the amount of administrative efforts that are required from regulatory requirements, from financial analysis, to continue to provide the services that we have been. And there has been an increase in those efforts required. Certified payroll has been a big one that's been at the forefront of need of additional administrative services as we go through our capital projects and have those out to construction. This is a managerial oversight position of 3 other positions within the administrative division, carrying out different facets of that work. This position also has become more involved in the lighting landscape assessment districts, and the annual updates of those, and analyzing possible changes each year as those come up. Again, another more recent change in in the traffic division, specifically on transit, with recent retirement there, the need to be more engaged from this position in the funding of our transit systems, the reporting that goes along with that. There's federal reporting requirements that have increased the amount of administrative support work that's required. So that's a sampling of several of the duties and responsibilities, especially that have increased in the recent past.
And perhaps I should ask the personnel, what would be the adjustment percentage-wise of result of this classification?
Well, the classification itself will be assigned to Band 204. However, the incumbent would be reclassified at 5% per the personnel rules. But the band itself is moving approximately 25%.
Okay, but that's over a period of...
Over a period of time.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, Mr. Kildee.
Yeah, Dave, maybe could you, this is somewhat, it's somewhat, I don't want to say it's unusual, but, as you go into this, you find these issues that kind of crop up. The value that the individual brings to the city, and as you did your analysis, was it that you found out that there was a lot more pieces to this puzzle, if you will, and what the individual brings to the city? And as we kind of go through all the regulatory issues that we all deal with on a daily basis here, that the job description somewhat has to evolve from what it was in previous years and times. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's very accurate. The value that the individual that fills the current senior management analyst position with the very complex and detailed type of analyses and reporting that's required is something important to retain and to recognize. And then also, as was mentioned in the staff report, with some succession planning within that division. What we're looking at is two actually other current vacancies that we have to fill that will be involved in cross-training amongst these different responsibilities. So this position is going to play a key role in continuing to provide the services that are required, and also to bring up incoming staff and into the future to maintain the ability to complete those services and that administrative support that is so critical, again, to providing the level of service to the public works services that we provide to the public.
Thank you.
I have a
You have one?
question, Your Honor.
Yes, Carl.
Oh, if Mr. Little has one.
I know you both did, so you go ahead and I'll come
before
back.
you're done. Okay. Yes. Could you say again what the increase in salary would be for the individual?
Immediately, it'd be 5%, a reclassification adjustment per the rules.
Okay, thank you.
I've got just the person that I believe is scheduled for this to be placed in this position. Can you tell me how many years of service she has had with the city of Camarillo?
I believe it's 15 or 16.
I think it might be longer than
17, could be 17.
that. Okay. Yeah, I remember.
I know it's definitely
I
15.
remember when we hired her.
Between 15 and 20, yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Jan?
Thank you. You talked about the fact that this individual or this position has taken on more responsibility, and particularly when you mentioned the transportation piece. Does that mean we're not going to fill other positions?
No, actually, what's happened there in that division is with the retirement, we refilled that at a much lower classification than than the retiree had filled, and so with the need for assistance to fill that, the funding, processing the applications, and the funding and the tracking of that and the reporting. So that's where this additional.
The new one's an engineer and not an analyst.
I just will add on that, just department-wide, there's a lot of that overlap between the engineering technical side of things that our staff does, and then the administrative part of the process that needs to be completed. And that's what this, the critical role that the administration division plays to carry that all through the process.
Okay. And does this position require any special training?
Well, the classification, I believe, requires the college education degree, and then
And any special, for instance, a civil engineer obviously has certified and all of that. This has nothing special other than
not a
college
specific
education.
requirement.
Okay, and the education doesn't have to be in a certain field then, so it's just whatever,
Right.
as long
I
as you've got a
believe
degree.
The preference is in some type of public administration or business management and administration.
Okay. And the other thing that's I noticed, the band you're talking about moving this position into is Band 204. And in that band, I only found two other positions. And one is the water reclamation superintendent, and the other one is the water superintendent. I believe those are the two individuals that head those departments. And what concerns me is this position equal to those two? Because I believe those two have some special training and so forth, and I would say perhaps more responsibility.
Yeah, definitely. They're certificated, if you will, for the on the specialty areas that they have there. And they're responsible for their division. And I guess I would just explain that the administrative division, again, the wide variety of managerial responsibilities at that level, across all other 7 divisions, including the water and wastewater divisions, as far as the administrative assistance and support of those divisions.
Right. But the water reclamation superintendent is basically in charge of our treatment plant getting everything in it and getting everything out of it.
Council, I believe Kathy may have some pertinent comments in terms of how we establish placement for classification ranges.
Yes, we did go out and we looked at similar positions in other cities, and the maximum of the band that we're proposing is right along in line and market with those other positions that we surveyed. It's also, we tied, that position still staying tied with administrative series, and we placed it 25% above the senior management analyst position. But in looking at, I found about 6 other cities with the same title that had similar duties, and the maximum salary is right along in there. We're not way over, we're not even meeting the 7.5% that we normally do. We were tying it to make sure we weren't going over and above what the market's bearing, and also to keep it in line with our structure within our pay scales.
So the band is you're saying is based strictly on salary range, not on responsibility.
It's a little bit of a combination of both. And we test it by going out to the market to see what other agencies are paying their similar positions, and we're right in line with that. This band is right in line with those other positions.
Other questions?
I don't have any question.
Okay, we have no other questions.
Your Honor?
Yes, Ms. Craven.
I'm searching here. I'll move to adopt a resolution approving the amendment of the classification plan by adding the position of Public Works Administrator.
We have a motion and a
I'll
second.
second the motion.
We have a second, motion second, other comments?
I was going to make a comment. I'm going to vote no on this because I have a problem with the band and the placement, and I have a real problem when the answer is we go out and see what other cities are doing. That's kind of where we get ourselves into this momentum problem of just continuing to increase and increase and increase. So it has no reflection on the individual or that's involved here, but that's just my opinion on that process.
Other comments? Seeing none, please vote. That motion passes 5-1, or 4-1, excuse me. I'm not counting this evening.
You're supposed to announce
Now,
the
before
vote.
we announce the...
You need to announce the vote if you don't have enough. If it's not 100%, you're supposed to announce it.
She did.
No, you have to say who it is. That's the new rule.
The new rule?
It's a law, actually.
Policy.
Actually, it's a law.
All right. We'll look at Mr. Kildee, Mr. Little, myself, Charlotte Craven voted for, and Ms. Jan McDonald voted against. Okay, let's move on to the next one. The next one, before we go to the announcement of our closed session, let's go through our comments first, and then we can do the closed session at the end of that. Is that okay, Mr. City Attorney?
That's fine.
Okay, City Manager, you have any comments?
No, Mr. Mayor.
City Attorney?
No.
City Council, Ms. Charlotte, will you want to start it?
Sure. I attended not as many meetings this time as I did before the last one, but I had a Citizens Selection Committee meeting, and you've already voted on the results of that meeting, so I won't go further. We continued with our RDP 21 base visits in preparation for the Washington, D.C. Lobbying trip, and I'm happy to say those are complete now. They take a lot of time. I attended a Vietnam Veterans Committee meeting, and we've reported to you on that. I just want to say I think that the issue of city scene was really good, the one that was in my mailbox today. And it was very informative, and thank you for having an article on rain barrels. People had been asking where you can get them, and I think it's great that somebody found a way to get a discount on them.
Charlotte, while you're there, if you go to the county, they have the rain barrels as you go in the door to the main meeting area. They have rain barrels right there on sale for $75.
Yeah, that's what they said, but a lot of people don't go to the county building, so they didn't know about it, and now they know. And the last thing is an article that was in the Thousand Oaks Acorn. If it was in the Camarillo Acorn, I didn't see it. But anyway, it talks about how Thousand Oaks was the winner in the county on having more medications turned in, 2,273.5 pounds to be exact, at the police station last year. And if you look at Camarillo, we are right behind him. I think we were only like 400 pounds behind them, which shows that our residents are really, really good and diligent about taking expired medications or medications maybe that didn't work out or medications that they didn't need anymore. Maybe they didn't need the whole prescription, whatever it is, and taking it down and dropping it off. And I thank the police officers for the police department for also having an on-site Leisure Village collection day every once in a while. Because if you look at the general population of Thousand Oaks and the population area that they serve, there are probably close to 50,000 people there when you include the unincorporated area. We have about 85,000 people in our unincorporated area, so to have so many, the sheriff posted this on his Facebook page, and people were saying, oh my, look at all those illegal drugs. Well, I don't think these are illegal drugs being put into the box in the police department lobby. I think they are all medications that were probably prescribed and no longer needed. So I just want to say, the ACORN might not have thought it was such a great job for Camarillo, but I think our residents have done a tremendous job on this.
Great.
That's all I have.
Thanks, Charlotte. Jan?
I do know a case or two where a parent has found something that a child shouldn't have had, and that was their solution to taking care of the issue. So it does happen every once in a while.
Oh, it does, but I don't think the majority
I don't
of
think
these
it's the main part of it.
2,000 pounds of little pills were.
But it's a good way for a parent to deal with something that they shouldn't have, child shouldn't have had. Meeting-wise, we had a legislative committee meeting on Monday, and we talked about the platform for this year, and as usual, was it 600 bills or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we anticipate up to 600 bills this year.
I still advocate if they're going to put 600 through, they ought to take out 1,200. But so anyway, that should be coming to you all shortly, before the legislation gets back. The legislators get back to work, if you'll call it that. And then the other thing I did was the chamber lunch. It was nice to hear Dr. Rush's final report, and he's certainly done a great job for us and been a real friend of the city. I hope the next one works as well with us as he had. It's been a pleasure to work with him. And that's all I have.
Kevin?
Yeah, a couple of meetings. Let's see. VRSD, and today I met with the investment committee along with Mike, and our investments are just kind of chugging along, and we're doing well for what the environment that we're all working in. Also, I had a brief conversation with Commander McGrath and the Bike Patrol. We're at our shopping center last week. And it's kind of interesting with that as these shopping centers are evolving and getting more and more food-oriented businesses in shopping centers now, that people have a tendency to kind of stay around the shopping center more. So they did stop and had a very brief conversation with them. But then I went outside, and two people came up and said, geez, I'm really glad that they were able to go through the shopping center and really check it out. So I think that's a really good program. I commend you for doing it. As the weather gets better, that kind of, if you will, the community policing, we can get out amongst the residents here, and I think it's a really good thing. I commend you for doing that. Also, just to remind everybody that the animal services is a no-kill. And for the no-kill to work, we have to have adoptions. And spring is pretty much here, judging by the weather. This last week, I'm not sure we had a winter, but I think we've got a spring here. So it's a good time to go out, if you're considering it, to go out and adopt an animal. I know many of us have. I have 2 dogs that I adopted, and if you like to walk, it's great to walk with a dog. So with the weather being as great as it is, and if you can have it to adopt a dog, and it's easier to walk with somebody than to walk by yourself, I think. So if you're interested, I think it's a good time of the year to do that.
You know, the city ordinance would let you adopt 4 more.
Yeah. Yes. I've done 2, yeah.
Wow, serve on that committee.
That would be interesting. I think I'll talk to my wife before I bring any more home. What do you think? You think that'd be a good idea to do? And let's see. It's interesting what Janet brought up about the bills, and it seems to me that you can always tell when the economy is improving. It seems like there's more bills that sort of get talked about up there. It's, it's kind of economic, if you will, movement on that. I can remember some years when the economy wasn't so good, they didn't have much bills up there at all. So anyhow, this is just a comment. So that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. No.
Bill?
Well, I attended the two committees that were mentioned earlier, the Citizens Appointment Committee and the Legislative Committee. I also attended the luncheon for Dr. Rush's farewell, and I understand that appointment will be made for the new president will be made in next month.
Be quick, huh?
And it's apparently moving right forward real quick. A couple of things I attended outside of that. One was the Chinese New Year at the library. That was a great event. That's always been a good event, and I encourage anyone who has any interest in learning a little bit more about the Chinese culture and the people involved should attend that in every February. They have one. Today I took in the Ventura County Coalition of Labor, Agriculture, and Business that are involved as supporting agriculture in Ventura County. They had a luncheon of which they discussed the SOAR initiative as well as the new initiative that they have filed it hasn't been a title hasn't been provided for it by the county council, but they've got it before the council asking for a title. Then they will go out and circulate. Their initiative basically retains the SOAR, but it does become more flexible with regard to treatment of agriculture for the processing process, which you've heard talked about at EDCBC, as well as being more flexible about agricultural lands surrounding or adjacent to school sites, and agricultural lands creating problems with the perimeter of cities, and so that is going to be presented. The one major thing is that this is going to be a 20-year process rather than 34 years, which I find extremely out of line with what is normal for a new law to go into effect. But anyway, they're going to be processing that within the next several months, and I think that we'll have competing resolutions or competing SOAR initiatives. That was it.
Okay. I'll go through this real quick. Vietnam Vet meeting, I went with Charlotte, and she explained that. The Friends of the Ranch. Who went with that? Kate, you went to that, Bill, right? Friends of the Ranch, the luncheon we had?
Oh, yes.
We had a Friends of the Ranch luncheon, which was very good.
Forgot about that.
That was very super nice meeting and had a lot of fun. It was full house. So it was each year we do this for Friends of the Ranch. Docent meeting, I went because I was asked, hey, you're on the board, you got to come sometime just for fun. And those docents are busy. They are active. And so you got like 30 of them or 35 of them sitting there, and they're doing all these things they have to do. And I mean, my wife is out there today, this morning, doing a tour. But they're really busy ladies, and they got a lot of stuff they've lined up for the future. We had a Chamber of Commerce breakfast over at the Las Posas Country Club, and it was bills. A young attorney there explaining the bills that affect business that came out this time. 30 of them did. You won't believe some of those bills. It's some of those bills that are kind of chase our business out. They got passed. So it was interesting to hear it all. I can't repeat each one because I can't remember them all. I get so disgusted with listening to them. We had a Finance Investment Committee meeting. Kevin already talked about that, so I won't go into that too much. Chinese New Year. This was the best one ever. Instead of facing the seats toward the sun, it's faced at an angle, which is much better. They had people here from the Beijing Opera. I mean, that was a lot. Those people get paid a lot.
Very, very good.
There were 5 of those people here from the Beijing Opera and dressed to kill. I mean, it was so much fun to watch that. And And when they sing, they also do this, I call them acrobats because they can jump up higher than I can by a long shot. And so the Chinese opera was there, and we had the symphony was there too. West Valley Symphony, which was it? Bill, do you remember?
Westlake Symphony.
Westlake Symphony, that's it. Westlake Symphony was there along with them. And so we had a lot of great entertainment that afternoon. It was a lot of fun, and that was the biggest crowd. The crowd was packed. All the seats were full, and they had booths all around it, so you can get your name in calligraphy, or whatever you want in calligraphy and other things on the place. We had the luncheon we already discussed with Dr. Rush. I went to a SEAG meeting that I was invited to. It's an agricultural group that promotes education for kids in agriculture. And they were opening a lab out there on a ranch in Saticoy, Petty Ranch, where the kids came in and planted certain stocks so they can grow up of the figs, in fact, all through there. So they're trying to push education for agriculture. I think it's great. School had its bus there, and the kids had a good time. This isn't something, but I got to tell you, our basketball team's doing great, guys. We'll be back again. This is their fourth. They're at the semifinals now. They're going to be in Temecula. They asked me if I could come, and I don't. That's 3.5 hours to get there Friday afternoon. You got to be kidding me. But it's in Temecula, and I think they're going to do a good job. So they're a fantastic team. We got a young team. You got a 6'6" guy that's a freshman, probably the best guy on the team. He is great. So anyway, we got good teams coming in the future, and let's wish them good luck. We have nothing else to comment. Anyone? Okay, Mr. City Attorney.
Our closed sessions this evening will be a conference with real property negotiator. The authority is Government Code Section 54956.8. The property is the former library. The agency negotiator, negotiating parties, and are listed in the agenda. Under negotiation is price and terms of payment. We're also going to have a conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D. 2, and the number of cases is 4.
Okay. Seeing that, we'll recess until 7:30. City Council, please come to order. Let the record reflect that all City Council members are here. We now like the flag salute. Bill, could you lead us in a flag salute?
Certainly. Please join me in pledging allegiance to our flag of our country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any further amendments to the agenda, Mr. City Manager?
No, Mr. Mayor, no amendments to the agenda.
Okay. We have two presentations this evening. We'll begin with the Police Department presentation, and I'd like our police chief to come forward with her delegation so we can make a presentation. I think you're going to be the first. You too. Yes. There you go. Okay, now we're going to have a presentation made to our City of Camarillo, I guess, our police department especially. And so I'm going to turn the microphone over so you can introduce her for our police chief.
Good evening, everyone. We're here. Jackie Irwin's office is going to present an award for Project Safer and our involvement with it with the City of Camarillo. So I'm going to hand the mic over to Kim. She's going to introduce herself and her staff.
She has a very soft voice.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Council members. My name is Kim O'Neill, and I'm the Executive Director of Project Safer. We're a nonprofit agency here in Ventura County, and we're funded through Ventura County Behavioral Health Department to address issues connected with alcohol service. Our work is to reduce underage access to alcohol, reduce over-service of alcohol, and reduce impaired driving. Thank you for the opportunity to share tonight the great partnership Project Safer has with the Camarillo Police Department and the excellent work Deputy Molina does to reduce impaired driving here in Camarillo. Deputy Molina is a strong supporter of our campaign, Be the DD and Win. If you're unfamiliar with it, it's a very upbeat, positive campaign that rewards designated drivers with awesome prizes for making a sacrifice to remain sober to drive their buddies home safely after a night on the town. In order for us to remain safe during these event nights, we partner with the Camarillo Police Department to escort a group of volunteers to these different locations. The vast majority of these patrons at the establishments are just having a good time, but occasionally we need someone with the badge and a smile, that's Deputy Molina, to run interference on, an intoxicated patron that might be crossing the line. It does happen. In 2011, Be the DD and Win kicked off in Ventura, but then Camarillo came on shortly thereafter. So Camarillo is celebrating its 3rd anniversary as a Be the DD and Win participating city. Deputy Molina has always made time to partner with us to build relationships with business owners, and he freely shares his passion for the campaign with them as he explains how beneficial it is to this community to reduce impaired driving. In addition to Be the DD and Win, the Camarillo Police Department has opened its doors to Project Safer to utilize their training room to provide free responsible beverage sales and service training to the local businesses here. The training is offered a few times each year in Camarillo, and it teaches alcohol servers how to recognize fake IDs, it identifies signs of intoxication, and it discusses techniques for running interference with patrons that might be planning to drive impaired. Deputy Molina makes it a point to stop by to introduce himself to the class participants and thanks them for attending the training. Project Safer appreciates the partnership we have with the Camarillo Police Department and especially wants to recognize the dedication of Deputy Molina for helping us to achieve our goals of reducing impaired driving here in this community. We truly couldn't do it without him. I'm excited and proud to present a certificate of recognition on behalf of Assemblymember Jackie Irwin to Deputy Molina for his work with Project Safer. May I read it for him? So we have the certificate for Deputy Molina. It's special recognition and congratulations and commendations are conveyed for your work in our community and your commitment to Be the DD and Win campaign. We applaud your efforts and thank you for your services. And that's from Assemblymember Jackie Irwin.
Thank you very much from Assemblymember Jackie Irwin's office. This is a great honor, and once again, we like to have a community that has teamwork to especially fight drunk driving and making sure people get home safely. I'm very, very proud to have Deputy Molina and Sergeant Franchi on our team because this is a problem in every city. So this is an area that we respect your work, and we're really excited to go forward and continue the effort. And thank you, Deputy Molina, for all your hard work.
Could you give those initials one more time slowly?
B. Oh, Be the DD.
Be the DD.
Be, and win.
Okay.
Be the designated driver and win.
You need to scrunch.
Thank you, guys. Any comments? Any comments from board directors? Bill?
First of all, congratulations to Deputy Molina. I know he's doing a lot of good work out there. The sergeant is too. I do want to say something about this Safer organization. As you know, Mary, my wife, has been involved with the Meadowlarks and the Taste of Camarillo for a number of years, and a few years ago they sent people to this training session because of the alcohol and everything, and they came back and it said it gave them a whole new perspective on what needs to be done out there, and so they've been since then sending people to that, I believe, over time. And it's really helped. There's a lot less problems at the end of the day than there was before. So your organization is to be congratulated for what you're doing for not only the business community, but for the community at large with organizations like Meadowlarks and others that need that sort of thing when they provide a festival for the public. So thank you.
I also want to say that Sergeant Franchi is always with him. I mean, last night, the other day, every time I turn around, they're both together. So they're both doing a great job for the community. Okay, we have one other any other comments? Sorry, I didn't.
Thank you.
We have another presentation this evening, but I don't see anybody from Southern California Association of Governments, SCAG, is giving our regional transportation plan sustainable community strategy.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. We're showing this short presentation at the request of Councilmember McDonald, who saw it, and if the council member has any comments, please.
Okay.
Need to turn the lights down?
This was just something, and I think Mr. Little saw it at VCTC.
I saw it too.
We saw it at VCOG. It was when SCAG came to make their presentation, but it was a nice recap of their purpose, what was going on, why the plans they were developing, and it actually included Ventura County for a change. So it's short and sweet, but it kind of a nice introduction to it all. Yes, please. Camera action.
Living in Southern California, we seem to have it all. The beaches, the deserts, the mountains, the food, the attractions, and that California sunshine. Southern California is also home to 18.4 million people, about half the entire state's population, and 14.2 million registered vehicles. We rely on cars to help us get around. An average of 446 million miles are driven each day in our region, which covers the counties of Imperial, Los Angeles, Orange, Riverside, San Bernardino, and Ventura. That's equivalent to 17,911 trips around the world every day. The thing is, we're not going around the world. We're going to work, to the grocery store, to visit our grandmother, or to our child's baseball games. As you've probably noticed, these trips are taking longer. Our roads are getting more and more congested. Other things like potholes and broken sidewalks don't seem to be getting fixed quickly enough. Over the next 25 years, Southern California's population is expected to grow by 4 million people. And by 2040, nearly 1 in 5 persons will be over the age of 65. How do we accommodate this growing population? How will the transportation and living needs change for seniors and the millennials of today? What can we do now to plan for the future? The Southern California Association of Governments has developed a plan, the Regional Transportation Plan and Sustainable Community Strategy that hopes to meet our future needs. We started with one of the most critical issues in the region, addressing our deteriorating roads, freeways, and bridges. Over the past 50 years, we've built a tremendous network of freeways and roads in Southern California. This network is our lifeblood, connecting us to people and places. As the region grows, more and more people are using these roads. Unfortunately, we've fallen behind on maintaining our infrastructure, and it's starting to show. In the 6-county SCAG region, 17% of our highways are distressed, and 28% of our bridges fail to meet federal standards. Potholes are more than an annoyance. They affect car owners with increased maintenance costs, as much as $832 per year if you live in Los Angeles and Orange counties. The 2016 RTP SCS is committed to keeping our infrastructure in the best possible condition. Over the next 25 years, we will need $102.5 billion to properly maintain our state highways and regionally significant local streets and roads. This is an urgent need. If we choose to wait and defer maintenance, road and bridge conditions will only worsen and costs can increase eightfold. Equally as important is improving traffic. Our region is home to some of the worst congestion in the country, with the average commuter experiencing an extra 12 minutes of delay per day. What can we do to address this? The 2016 RTP SCS includes $54.5 billion in investments to relieve congestion hotspots, close gaps in the freeway system, and complete freeway-to-freeway connections in the high-occupancy vehicle lane network. How we effectively and efficiently manage traffic will be important in the future, and new technologies will play a large role. Transportation system management/transportation demand management strategies like traffic signal synchronization, advanced traveler information, and real-time traffic alerts will allow agencies and drivers to better respond to traffic incidents and changing road conditions. Technology improvements will also change the way we think about transit. Southern California is home to one of the most robust transit networks in the nation. In 2012, transit riders took 711 million trips, traveling more than 3.6 billion miles. More transit operators will be investing in technology to make transit more convenient, like providing updated arrival time information, smartphone apps to map route options, and the TapCard Universal Payment System. The 2016 RTP SCS also calls for expanding service, including investing $56.1 billion for new projects, extending the Los Angeles subway and light rail systems, and providing new bus rapid transit and express bus service in key corridors. We're also proposing additional ways to boost transit use by providing better access. Our livable corridors concept would encourage new, higher density housing developments or employment centers to be built along major boulevards that are served by high quality, high frequency transit. Providing greater, safer, and more convenient mobility options is one of the hallmarks of the 2016 RTP SCS. Nearly 40% of trips in the region are 3 miles or less. That's a short enough distance to walk or bike, but over 78% of these trips are made by cars, causing unnecessary congestion, pollution, and stress on our roadways and communities. To make biking and walking more convenient for short trips, the 2016 RTP SCS provides close to $13 billion over the next 25 years to repair 10,500 miles of broken sidewalks and add more than 6,000 miles of new local bikeways. In our region's suburbs, these investments can be combined with complete street strategies to create neighborhood mobility areas, neighborhoods that encourage access to local shopping, restaurants, and venues via walking or biking. In all, our plan seeks to invest $556.5 billion in the region. In addition to reviving our roads and sidewalks, relieving critical freeway bottlenecks, and increasing mobility options, the plan will bring a much-needed boost to our region's economy, creating an average of 563,700 jobs every year. And for every dollar invested, the region will see a return of $2. In addition to creating new jobs, the plan also protects and enhances one of the region's most important industries, goods movement. Over 1.5 billion tons of freight moves through our region each year, and 1 in 3 jobs in Southern California are connected, directly or indirectly, to goods movement and logistics. But rising truck volumes on our highways has become a major transportation and air quality issue. The 2016 RTP SCS proposes a regional freight corridor system, a network of truck-only lanes that would address growing truck traffic and safety issues on major highways. The plan also includes investments to address the air quality and environmental impacts of goods movement, such as relieving truck bottlenecks and advancing zero-emission technologies in trucks and rail. We can breathe easier knowing that the 2016 RTP SCS will benefit the region with improved air quality. Overall, the plan will help Southern California reach an 8% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions by 2020 and 18% by the year 2035. We cannot predict the future, but we can plan for our future needs. With the 2016 RTP SCS, we envision people and communities across Southern California enjoying increased mobility, greater economic opportunity, and a higher quality of life. That's what we strived for ourselves, and most importantly, for generations that follow.
Any comments? Board members, comments?
Just a couple comments. Obviously, the numbers as far as what the costs are involved in that program are staggering, and whether it can be funded or not. But one of the things we know from past experience is that without a sales tax in Ventura County, we're certainly not going to get any overwhelming share of that money for our needs, particularly like the 101. There is a program going to be held at 8 to 10 on Friday morning at Spanish Hills that is being sponsored by, the Chamber of Commerce, among other things. They're going to have a discussion about that whole issue of transportation and the upcoming idea of a special tax. So if I'm planning to be there, and I hope
Saturday?
No, it's Friday morning at 8 o'clock. It's 8 to 10, at Spanish Hills. And,
Reservations through the Chamber of Commerce.
right, reservation through the chamber. And so,
What's strange about this, if you took, I used to be on, I used to be on that board down in Los Angeles, the executive committee. If you took what they just said about, communities built around transportation centers, I've heard this 10 years ago, exact same thing. And so that's been a policy for a long, long time. Now they're putting more figures with it to show what we have to do to get there. And my gosh, those are overwhelming. Add that to the train to nowhere, and we've got a lot of money to spend, to do all this stuff. So I'd like to see how they're going to do it. Kevin?
Yeah. Did I hear it right that 40% of all trips are 3 miles or less? 40%.
Yes.
That's a big number. And I'm sure all cities are faced with that.
Just think of how short our trips are here.
Yeah.
From you to work or church or.
Just think if we rode a bike or had another form of transportation, get one car off the road.
Problem here is we've got 36% of our people, I'm pretty sure that figure is still correct, that are of senior age. And a lot of them can't ride bicycles all over town or want to take that slow pattern to go there and back. And so it's kind of a tough situation in that regard.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's still probably, 55% that aren't seniors, too, that might be able to do something to alleviate that if the opportunity presented itself.
Well,
but I
we
guess
should
this
set
is
the
a question
example
we've... Yeah. Now, did it also hear is that $102.5 billion, was it over the next 25 years, is needed to just to maintain the transit system that we've got? Is that right? Was that number right?
Improve.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's what the demonstration explained.
There has been, excuse me, but if you go to Orange County right now and you take the 405, there has been so many new lanes put in and new pavement. It looks like a whole new area over there. Mm-hmm. If you go from LA into Orange, you're going to find it's like new because they've done miles and miles and miles of new stuff. They did that same thing in LA, right there at Santa Monica Freeway. You're going to find some areas that are like brand new, but then you're going to find the others. The hydrogen thing they're talking about at the port with the trucks, those are hydrogen cells they've been using. I've been studying that a lot, and they're using those in the trucks, and it's working. Now they're trying to find stations for them. There's a panel that's been set up to find stations in Tri-County here.
Just a comment. I think that they're building the public transportation system, but it's still the California's love of the automobile and how you get people to use them to the level that it needs to be used. And that's going to take a long time, I think, to build a system that allows that to happen. I guess that's the $64,000 question, if you will.
It's also the way we've been built. We're so spread out.
Mm-hmm.
You say 3 miles. Well, 3 miles is a lot when you're in a hurry. When you have to be
Absolutely.
there. And then I live here. I work in L.A. I work in Oxnard, whatever. And
That's
and
right.
if you live in, let's say, New York, you're right there, and you don't have a choice. Who drives in New York? But we're so spread out. So it's a whole different thing than you'll find in other cities.
It is.
And we have a lot of parking.
Yeah.
In New York, there's no parking. In San Francisco, there's no parking.
What's it,
True,
17
too. Or
square
it costs
miles?
If we didn't require all this parking, people complain about having to provide. Maybe we'd have more people on the bus.
That could be too, yeah. Because I know when I ride my bike to work and I get called out, and I'll need a car, something that's unexpected.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like, yeah.
Well, our trolley is
Has to
being
run.
used very much so. I mean, it's been high occupancy. So
Yeah.
I feel good that people are learning about it and doing it. It seemed got to the point they think they're going to have another one sooner or later. Wish they had one that went to the library.
It's really a generational thing. If you just read some of the numbers, that the number of young people between the ages of 18 and 30, there's about a 20% reduction in the number of driver's license for that age group in this today than it was back in 1985. There are a lot of young people are not driving, or they get The success of Uber is a good example of why, because they don't need a car. They just pick up their cell phone and here comes a car for them. And so that's happening, and but it's going to take a generation or more to see that it happens.
That's a good point.
Okay, everybody finished?
Cute little video, though. It was quick and easy.
Yeah, it's very informative.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Okay. We have no other things this evening except we have a comment from the public tonight on items that are now on the agenda. Mr. Lorimer, Matthew, would you come up? This is a short meeting. You've never seen one this short. Done.
Yeah, where is everybody tonight? In the Witness Protection Program or what?
You said that. We didn't.
I know. Hey, I'm a fun guy, too. So Jan McDonald asked last time about the rents. Here it is, $1,341.97. Camarillo Mobile Home Park, it's $1,050. Casa del Norte, $695 to $725. Stardust, $400 to $600. And then we got Imperial Mobile Home Park in Ventura, which is $500 to $900. It's just disgusting. The highest rent in Ventura County is in your city. And the owner is just taking advantage of people. I don't know what more to say, but to start discussing other issues that are affecting the neighbors that live next to the park, and I will be bringing that forward. The next thing I'd like to talk about is I've been talking about the corporate welfare by the city council by providing up to $20,000 or more over the years to the factory outlets. What I thought was disgusting is Mr. Morgan here is trying to confuse people by saying the same level of services at Kmart and over there at Target. And then you had the police chief up here trying to back up this story.
We never said the same. We never said the same.
Let me finish, please, Mike.
Sorry.
It's my time. You're interrupting me.
Calm
I
down
appreciate it. You owe me 3 minutes.
Calm down a little bit.
By the way, so I don't appreciate that because that's not true. And so don't take it from me. Take it from Tom Fox. He basically quoted in the Star, let me read this to you, November 26, 2015. We treat it like a special event. The City of Camarillo Public Works Director Tom Fox, which is right here now. Okay, so are they paying fees for a special event? Because I've asked for that for the Public Records Act. Also, since the Public Works is now giving free corporate welfare, I'm going to be looking at how much money they spent. The bottom line here is if you read this article, it says the Camarillo Premium Outlets closely with law enforcement to direct traffic to organize an organized manner. Target and Kmart are not similar. Trying to tell the public one thing. You're giving free corporate welfare, free money to a corporation that has $62.5 billion, brings in $23 million in rent, and you keep making excuses. You keep saying it's the same thing. It's not. It's not the same thing. This article backs up what I said, and Tom Fox did this article, and we're not talking about Kmart, we're not talking about Walmart, we're talking about giving free money. And you know something? You don't give money to senior center, you don't help out other people, yet you give money to a large corporation like this. And it's corporate welfare, and it's not just corporate welfare, it's a special event corporate welfare. And we're going to look into how much money the city's giving away on this. Thank you very much.
Could you have come forward, please, Mr. Police Chief? And by the way, we never said equated. We said we had some in those. So that's using your own language to emphasize something a little differently. Thank you. Now, could you explain that one more time? Every time it comes up, I'm going to have you explain what this is for, not just directing traffic.
Yes. Good evening, Mayor, members of council, city staff. This time of year, we get an influx of a large amount of people in our city, which we have responsibility of making sure people are safe. With that kind of numbers of traffic flow, we have to make sure the city streets are patrolled effectively. So in doing so, we did traffic control not only near the outlets on city streets, but we also, at my direction, deployed extra units to go to the other areas of the city to make sure that if there are traffic issues or calls for service, they can respond, because it's about safety, it's about making sure things flow correctly, and we want to prevent crime, and we want to make sure accidents are not happening.
Can you tell them how more crime occurs during those times?
Yes, generally we have a spike in vehicle burglaries, especially at the parking lot areas of the outlet mall and the other shopping centers as well. And this year, especially, we had people on foot and we had people in cars. We had a record only 2 vehicle burglaries for that Christmas season, which was quite remarkable. And we had, I believe, we had 11 calls for service that we answered, and a few arrests for drug influence. So we try to maintain a safe atmosphere so people get to and from their shopping and traffic flows without any major incidents.
Would you kind of equate this with a large Coliseum type thing where they put police out there all over because so many people and so many things can happen?
Well, we look at it as almost like another city coming into our city, and we have responsibility for the city streets and to maintain traffic flow and make sure things are safe. We also look at it if there's a lot of cars there, i.e., like you said, as a Coliseum or whatever, to make sure we have officers that can get in there and be able to respond if we do have an incident or an accident, because if it's that backed up, we can't get in there to respond because of the traffic.
Can I go? Yeah. First of all, this only occurs on one day a year, right?
Correct. It's actually not even for a 24-hour period.
12 hours or so.
Yeah. From basically, if I recall, 6 or 7 p.m. at night. Now, we're opening earlier on Thanksgiving Day, and then we continue to 2 o'clock the next day. So it's not even a full 24-hour period. But we're looking at the bulk of the traffic flow at that time.
And you also would do this, in fact, you have officers out in some numbers on the football playoff games at Camarillo High School.
That's correct.
Because of the crowds.
Right, that's correct. Once again, it's about traffic flow.
So it doesn't matter what is the cause of it. It's your responsibility and your duty to see to it that the traffic works and that the public is safe.
Exactly. And also we want to make sure if there is an incident, whether it's a medical emergency or a traffic accident, that both fire and police can get there in a time to save lives. And that's what it's about.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, I just want to clarify a few things. As most people know, I'm in retail. And I think it's important to realize that most businesses, if not all, at least double their rate of sales in a month of December. And it really gets down to 4 weeks. There's businesses that do 50% of their yearly volume in about a 3-week period. If it wasn't for December, there would be no retail. Just as simple as that. So within those numbers, and you've got some 400 stores over there or thereabouts, there's going to be an inordinate amount of traffic within that time. And it's our job to make sure that the public streets are protected and the citizens that are there and the citizens that aren't there are protected from any kind of very unusual activity. It's a very small time chronologically in a year, but it's an extreme impact. And I believe, my own personal opinion, that the police are doing absolutely the right thing there. And I would encourage you to keep doing that, because hopefully that'll keep growing, because that is a very important part of our city and for the residents that live here, too. It's an indelible part of Camarillo now. I believe it's our top tourist attraction now. But I just want to remind everybody that, yes, people may think that it's, a large expenditure of money, but it's a very unusual time of the year that is critical.
You mentioned the tourists. If I'm not mistaken, it's still true that our outlet mall is the #1 tourist attraction in Ventura County.
Mm-hmm.
We have more visitors coming here than anywhere else in the county. And so to keep our streets safe, that's your job, it's our job, and it's not corporate welfare. It's keeping our city safe, a safe city, and the benefit of all the citizens, those who are visiting and those who live here. So I don't see it as corporate welfare, and we don't, it's just a matter of police time. And I think in the last few years, you've done a really great job of switching shifts to do it as, as economically as possible, and we appreciate that as well.
Absolutely, you're right. And we've done what we can to do with volunteers. Volunteers have been great, as I've always said, in this city, in addition to flexing some hours and making sure we have the appropriate staff, not only in that area, but at the entire city. So we're handling calls for service in the appropriate amount of time.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments? Thank you very much. Okay, now we have no other items on our agenda.
Got to go back into closed session.
So that we're going to do, I think we'll adjourn to closed session. Well, recess, can we adjourn?
We can recess to closed session.
Just recess. Okay, we'll recess to closed session.